All right. C1x updates. It is first day of February. It's been over a month since last video. And this might be the last one. We'll see. Things have changed in C1x just a little bit. So I have still been coding. I did the last video right before the holidays. Took a little bit of time off over the holidays, spent some time with family, take a little breather from C1x, sent it out to get some feedback. Decided that I wanted to get this update pushed out. Deep stats, I went back and glanced at the last video I did. I'm pretty sure I had the deep stats views, these guys all finalized. Obviously, I didn't record deep stats in this round, so not shown here, but yeah, all this stuff I had mostly finalized in the last video. Nothing really has changed here. Little minor update. I got rid of most of the whole numbers, just put the first and last one on some phone screens, or not even on some phone screens. I only tested this on courses with 6 holes. I knew it might be an issue. On an 18-hole course, those numbers didn't even come close to fitting. So just the first and last number now. But yeah, that view was essentially done. I don't quite remember where I left this view off. Excuse me. I think it's more or less the same from where I left it. Still largely works the same. I don't think there's much new here. Do have some updates to go through though, so we'll take a look at those. The goal today is to finish the update for deep stats and all of the other things that I'm including. It's going to be version 1.4, I think, is what this update will be. But yeah, so the hope is to finish it today and then submit deep stats update with everything else that's included to Apple and Google probably tomorrow for review. And we'll see. I guess I'll talk a little bit about what's to come after that. But step 1 here is we are going to dive into what I've done so far. So outside of deep stats, one thing I did do on this view is updated some of the formatting just a little bit, not a lot, but when stuff is deleted, previously the rounds would just stay the same size, so I increased the heights a little bit, spaced some stuff out. That's it. Nothing major. Just trying to get this to take up a little bit more space. So that is just this code right here. So that was a minor thing. Yeah, we're not onto that stuff yet. What else did I do? Metric system. So C1x has always had the ability in the app settings to enable metric measurements. That worked for a lot of the course stuff, but it didn't work for some specific things. So for example, we'll turn it on just so I can show that it's working now, but previously, even if you had metric system enabled, if you hit C1 or C2, it still gave you the distance in feet. So I updated that. That's been fixed. Last shots area also updated. Metric was updated for all of the deep stats information. So I guess let me go to a round that had shot distances in there. Yeah, so now all of our shots have distances in the metric system. All of these graphics were updated as well. There were a few other spots I changed it, but essentially just got it so the metric system actually works now throughout the app. A couple global course updates, not a ton there. Adding a couple new courses. All the round buttons. Now that it's a new year, previously the dates here just had month and day. I added the year. I had space to add the year. And now that it's a new year, we have multiple years being shown. So, we'll add the year. That was minor. Sound effects. So I've been just going through a list beyond deep stats of just a list, a bunch of small things that I'd come up with over the past few months that I wanted to include in the next update. And that's what all of these have been so far. One of them was sound effects. So you'll see in the settings we got a new little toggle here. You can't see because the capture froze. All right, I may have to watch that. I did. Also as a part of the saga of the past month, my Mac broke. Not broke is a strong word. Screen got damaged slightly from dust, I think, and the rest of the Mac has started to go downhill a little bit. So it's capture might be freezing a little bit. I'll do my best to keep an eye on that this video. I don't even know if I was able to show the metric system there. We've got the metric system's now updated on all the deep stat stuff if you have it turned on. Anywho, all right, so now we got sound effects. Sound effects is only for a set of specific actions. Hopefully it's going to come through in the video. Seems like it's coming through in the video. So I put the sound effects in, and I was like, some people will probably be annoyed with that, so I'll add the toggle here. So you can turn them off, no sound effects anymore. But yeah, we've got normal button taps. I'll have this sound. We've got a little sound for enabling deep stats. Kind of fun. My favorite one, which is excessive, I'm going to admit. But the focus, the highlight, the best part of C1x is seeing your stats from your round, right? Like, I think the logging's pretty cool. I think it's nice and easy to log individual shots, especially just the simplified C1x. But like seeing those stats after your round, all the graphics that took the bulk of the time in building C1x, that's the highlight. So I wanted the sound effect into the round to be a little more unique. So trying to kind of stay along the retro theme here with C1x, but kind of like it. Course button. I wanted the course buttons to have a unique sound, and I wanted them to resemble a course in some manner. Couldn't find a great sound. So Michaela had the thought that my desk is sitting right next to a disc golf basket as I shake it. So I might as well just create my own sound. So just a little chain rattle. Made using my basket, so recorded it, put it in the app. Only other real different sound is just the sound when you start a round. That's it. So not a lot. Something I never put in an app before is sound effects, so I got to learn how to do that and then put the sounds in. But something simple, kind of like it. We got sounds. So something that did end up causing me some headache. I'll turn deep stats off for this just so I can make it quick. Previously, if you hit C1 in C1x, you would have to hit a distance. There's no way to click out of it. That's no longer the case. Pretty simple change on the surface. Actually required quite a bit of rework into the logic I have on tracking round information, which is silly. It's probably more a testament to I just didn't build that in the most modifiable way, I guess. Same thing with penalty. You can tap out. The only exception to this is going to be if you hit penalty and you hit a distance and tap out. I couldn't, that was going to be too much work for me. That was going to be a lot. So we didn't do that. But normal C1, normal C2, you can now tap out of it just fine. Also, if you hit the wrong distance, there's obviously still the option of hitting the undo button, but that was an important change. Slightly new look for the Pro Tour course list. I'm trying to market this to some Pro Tour guys and gals. I think that I think C1x can definitely be useful to players of all skill levels. I built it with that in mind. I think stuff like the I got it disabled. Stuff like the practice ROI graphic, shot assessments, like I think that's going to be useful for everyone, but I think a lot of this stuff can be especially useful for Pro Tour players who are maybe particularly interested in what their tendencies are, the potential to maybe start applying some of this data to specific courses. Lots of potential there in the future, but trying to cater the course list a little bit to them. So I've had the Pro Tour courses in C1x for a while, including for the 2026 season, but they were just a list like this one. So now I grouped them by event. This view is probably slightly subject to change, but change button designs grouped by location. Right now they are in the order that, at least when I initially put this list together, they were set to happen. Still the same thing. You can still tap them and add them just like you normally would. One of the things on my to-do list, maybe before this update goes out, probably, depending on how much information the Pro Tour is actually made available, is just to update these courses for the 2026 season. And then we've got all the 2025 courses as well, that were at least for the rest of the season after... Sorry, I'm just noticing that I'm getting an error here. Framework itself. Please report this. List view. Let me go take a look at that real quick, just because we're here. Let's update the screen capture. Got a little error at the bottom just when I was scrolling. Maybe you didn't even get to see this view. This is the new tour courses view. 26. Let me go to the global courses. We're on line 457. List view is throwing an error. It should not be. It's pretty simple. It's built the exact same way the normal course list is. That's not throwing an error. Okay, not going to worry about that for the moment. It kind of seems like a simulator issue. Did a decent bit of work just trying to make sure that all my text formatting throughout the app is consistent. I know for some unique phone sizes, the text would expand beyond what it was supposed to. Didn't want that to happen, so I did that. And then the last thing I did was you've had the ability to change the whole par. Now you can change the whole distance in C1x during a round. So that also came with some interesting headaches, because one thing I realized is that even though in C1x you've had the ability to change the whole par up to this point, if you ever backed out of a round mid-round, like if I log a shot here, go on to hole 2, and you hit back, you still can resume the round, so the round isn't lost. But if you changed a par in the round, that is lost. That wasn't saving. It hasn't been saving. I didn't realize that. So if you went through the entire round without ever hitting the back button, then the par update would save. So I had to add the whole distances and then go fix that issue for whole distances and pars, but we did it. So that's where we stand right now. And then this is the list of the other stuff that I wanted to put in there for this update. And this is going to be it. So let's just jump into it. First, in the settings, at some point this button was working for me, and it's not anymore. So we're going to go troubleshoot that. Go to settings. All right, icon button. So this is my code that's running every time that button is hit. Any disabled should be gray, false. If any of them is not true, all right, so I set any disabled equal to false. Should be gray equal to false. If any of the values are not turned on when it's pressed, any disabled is true. So like right off the bat, this should be, I think it should be working. Print any disabled. Let's do a reset here so I can get the full. Man, these captures are gonna get me. They're gonna get me. All right, just added these print statements right here just to try and see what's going on. Any disabled is false. Any disabled is true. So it's working. It's just not getting updated here. Okay. Deep stats set state. Deep stats set state. Are they being changed back by the end of it? I mean, surely not, right? Oh, maybe it's doing them all at the same time. False, false. So I set it to be, if any of them are disabled, any disabled is true. If it's true, then we go through, we set them all to true. We save the deep stats visibility, then we print again. The logic seems sound, but I am not sure. Dialogue. Am I? Deep stats set state. Dialogue. Content. This is working, right? I do just have it inside of a set state. That's weird. Okay. Let's see if we can do the same here. It's typically I'm required to have the set state associated with the dialogue and not the parent view itself. It's definitely still not working. And even updating that isn't changing. Man. Do I need both? I shouldn't, but I am slightly out of ideas here at the moment. I don't feel like I have any good ones. Let's do another reset there. So that's my issue. Okay, all right, we can do this. Deep stats. Oh, well, I do have the bar. Hold on. What are those toggles set with? Are they set with the They are set with those values. All right, hold on. Well, no, I'm changing those too. Oh, man. I felt so confident there for a second. I thought that I wasn't setting this variable, but I'm definitely setting this variable. So that can't be my issue either. Unchanged, set state, throwing hand, which is the selection, value, save. And here I do the same thing. I set the value, deep stats settings values dot length equal to 2. All right, let's drop this just as a sanity check. Let's print that out. All right, so now I'm just printing out this variable here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Clicking on it works. Deep stats, set state. Deep stats, settings, values. Oh, but even if the setting is here, I'm just setting it like this. Man, deep stats settings, forehands back. Are my values wrong? Like what? I don't think so, because then if I click out, they're all off. Like they're being set appropriately. All on. I don't want to say we're at a cloud point already, but unpressed. Disabled gray. The values are getting changed. All the values are being set as to what they should. They're being saved properly. They're just not, even though I'm using the set state, it's not rebuilding, and I just don't. That's not rebuilding, but it is rebuilding when I run this code down here. All right. I don't know. Cloud, here we come. Button here isn't causing the clicking individual. Both the button and the toggles are shown in an alert dialog. Tapping an individual toggle causes the value to update in the UI immediately. So tapping the toggle button cause any changes in the UI. The values are being changed, but they will only show in the dialog if the user taps out of the dialog and goes back in. All right, let's see what Claude has to say. I assumed, okay. Add a key to each. Is that easy of a fix? Let's try it. I don't think I've done this before, but maybe it'll work. There we go. I actually kind of think this button needs to work backwards. Like it should be white if... Yeah, let's go update that. Should be gray. All right, any disabled is false, and should be gray should be true. This should be false, and then let me go find where I set should be gray up above. I think we can get rid of these two. If any of them are not on. Excuse me. Screen capture froze again. Lovely. Lovely. Good last video. We're just going to never actually get to share anything. That's awesome. Yeah, changing the should be gray here, and then this is going to be true. So now ultimately my goal is that if everything is on, then I want this button to be gray. Just like you tap the gray button to turn stuff off. I feel like that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, and then to toggle all to turn everything on, you click that. I like it. Beautiful. All right. So now we're going to drag my version history over here. Toggle all button and deep stats is now working. I always end up changing this list when I actually publish the releases. Just I want to write down all the changes that I made, but like for example, I don't need to mention that the deep stats toggle is broken and is now working because as far as the public release goes, deep stats doesn't exist. So it's just gonna say deep stats works now, which is great, but I'll write it down for me. Done. All right, putting page is snapping back to basket during logging after a shot is locked. Logged page is always resetting to the first page of shot log. Okay. Let's go see if I can recreate this. I do remember writing this down, but it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So we do this. Snapped back just fine. Was it not snapping back from me previously? Ensure that the putting page is snapping back to the basket during logging after a shot is logged. Oh, maybe it's if I miss a putt. Nope. Let's try entering some stuff in here. That seems to be working okay. Maybe that's something that I fixed after the fact. Ensure that the disc position resets for multiple putts. So we can mess around with this. That is an issue. Okay, putting location. Probably have to do it from the scorecard. That's what I'm thinking, but maybe not. Is the view being redrawn at that point? I have to assume I'm already setting those values unchanged. Disk size. Update disk position. DX. Double image. Left is equal to disk offset. Disk colors. It's just a painter. Okay, so it's not there. I guess what sets? Where am I setting where the disk is at here? Basket positioned. I need to reset what these are. Alright. This is going to be another good one for Claude. Whenever this widget is redrawn, how can I reset the position of the disk? Maybe it's already being reset and the issue is just that I'm not getting it to redraw. Is that after dragging a disk, the parent then calls a widget, the disk is not centered, but instead in the position it was previously dragged to. Don't know if I feel confident that this is going to work, but maybe it will. Either that it's going to work or that it's going to work too good. Yeah, now the disk doesn't move at all. Disk. Move it all now. reset trigger. Okay. Let's try that. Option B, new state with unique key, put mislocator key. Oh, I see. This is, I'm being stupid. This is in the parent, not this widget. Okay, deep brown scorecard, put mislocator. So that's what it wants me to do. All right. I'll try that, I guess, and then we can see if that was actually the issue or not. Zoom around. Can I drag a disk? Is that really enough to keep me from being able to drag the disk? Well, definitely is. All right, let me think about this. Because I don't want it called in the onChanged. I really only want it called when the swipe is happening. So on this action now, once the landing is entered, I want the disk to reset. Also not a huge issue, like, I mean, the disk can stay where it's at, but I would like for it to reset. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right, let's say I have a button in the parent view. I want to reset disk location every time that button is pressed. Reset counter. Oh, let's see, that makes sense. Okay, I can do that. And up here, we're gonna go Miss reset counter equals 0. All right, and then we're just gonna do a little increment whenever I do my swipe. No, it could not be final. Could not be final. Landing has been entered further down. Confirm bar. Here we go. Just for putting, update throwing from. It's just a simple increment, so I really should just be able to do it every time. This really shouldn't create any issues for me. Keep looking over, having to babysit this screen, make sure that it's not freezing on me. All right, can still drag just fine. Centered beautifully. Beautiful. Okay. That makes sense. Now it'll reset every time. Let's go basket. Oh. C1. Still centered. Lovely. Okay. Problem fixed. Erase round. Yeah, slightly broken Mac with coding and recording software and other Windows running and Claude running. This is tough. All right, so the windows are snapping back. Disk resets. Disk in putting location widget now resets each time. Disk position. Shot is logged. Did I just close it? Weird. Okay. I'm back now. All right. That was largely it. Yeah, we're more or less done with deep stats at this point. I did want to go through and clear out all the warnings. That's kind of a silly thing to do on video, but you know, I'm sorry you guys have to see this. I did also implement. Let's go add that. App reviews are now requested a couple of times in C1x. I did add the ability to get to ask users to review the app. That is, it's minor. My goal is not to be obnoxious. My goal is just to ask for a review. People want to give me a review. So there's only 2 of them. So only 2 times in your entire usage of the app will you ever be asked to review it, but those are in there. Back that out. These out. Let's go close this out. Lots of unused imports here. Completed is never referenced. Okay. Can delete it then. What else we got? Try removing the unused parameter. Okay. We good now? Let's keep the files up, make sure I don't have any errors pop up over here. Restart capture, I'm just going through my problems over here. All right, this was for some troubleshooting. So we are done with this. At some point I had to go through and make sure that all the stats were working with whenever a different starting hole was selected, especially for deep stats, because I did already have that working for regular C1x. So we did have some troubleshooting there, but we got it working. Clear out the print statements. Clear that out. Clear this out. I mean, what? I'm not really using this, am I? Surely not. Let's just delete this file. Started it, and we're not using it. All right. Never used. Never used. Don't use those either. Okay. Well, this is where a lot of my warnings are. What, 139? Oh. Clearly they are used. What are we trying to say here? I guess what? This is single round deep calculations, so unless I'm passing it here, it doesn't matter. Which is what I think it's trying to tell me. Am I not using fairway hits? I'm using this, but not. Let's try. This will be a really easy one to test. We'll go clear all this out, and then I'm not tracking OB strokes. Not tracking this. Because I am just doing this for the deep stats, obviously, right? We're not doing this for the regular C1x calculations are still using this just fine. Let's do just after those changes, let me do a reset real quick, and let's make sure that if I click on around, I still get all the stats I'm supposed to. Okay, looks like we're good. And then this stuff is all still showing. Okay, I assumed it was right, but this putt isn't used. Define name as putt. Okay. Okay. This one has a quick fix. Cool. Let's close these out. Const. There's some print statements. With opacity is deprecated. I always forget how to do this. With values? Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's that. Alpha ren. So what, can I just throw 0.5 up? Or I gotta do alpha. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't want it to start with an underscore or whatever. Whatever. Okay. Good. No. Unused import. Unused import. All right, it's still going here. Restart capture. You haven't missed anything. Still just going through and clearing these out. All right, no math import. Footing options isn't used. Okay. Quick fix, super. No print statements. Super. All the same thing here. Come on. Come on. All right, and this is, I know this is not entertaining, so I apologize for that, but it is a step that I will do before we release the update. Just go back through here. I am going to just briefly open up the ProTour website and go update my global course list, which is this JSON file that I've had for a while. Or no, sorry, this is the global list. ProTour global list, there we go. So go update these. I can't imagine that there's going to be any great caddy books out right now. Maybe for the Supreme Flight Open, since that's coming up in a couple weeks, I think. So I'm going to go update some of this information. But yeah, that's really, we're going to update that. I'm going to push to test flight and just make sure on the simulator at least, and on my old laptop, the tour course list started to work kind of slow for some reason. I want to make sure that's a simulator thing and not actually going to be something that people experience in the app. So we're going to push to test flight, give that a whirl. And as long as that works, then the update's going out. So I'm going to keep plowing through these warnings. And I guess while I'm doing so, I'll start to talk about maybe what's going to come next with C1x. So I keep saying it's done, but that comes with an asterisk. Execution grade. This just isn't what I'm just not even using it right now, I guess. Okay, let's just delete the file then. Okay, so that will be the extent of what I had envisioned with C1x. The one thing that I'm struggling with slightly is that at this point, I have a lot of time in C1x, right? And it's time that I'm proud to have spent on it. I love the way that this app has turned out. There's really not a ton that I don't like about it. And the only slight caveat to that is that it still just doesn't get used a lot, right? And my goal is not to build some wildly popular app, but I do, I don't know, I want it to be slightly deep. Sorry, hold on. Now, let me go do a refresh here and make sure that this with values approach is actually working. Another thing where the opacity was deprecated, and we gotta check this. Seems like it's working okay. %50 opacity is 0.5. So this should be working exactly the same way. Okay, cool. Anywho. So yeah, is that it still just doesn't get used a whole lot. And I would like for it to be a little bit more popular, get a little bit more usage, give people a better reason to check it out, give it a try. And in my mind, at this point, the one maybe somewhat obvious way to do that would be to build out some type of social feature, which is not something I plan on putting in C1x initially, but I think that is probably my best way of convincing people to give it a shot, and then maybe they start to enjoy all the other features as a result of that once they get convinced to at least just try it. So long story short, C1x is done with the caveat that I might end up building a social feature for it. What that social feature is exactly, I'm not sure. I have some ideas for it, which I guess haven't quite thought out well enough to really talk about them too much. More or less, like C1x obviously has the ability right now to score rounds, to keep stats, and the ideas mostly revolve around either like building groups of friends that you can compete with on a weekly basis, doing like a league, like a fantasy disc golf league, but you're the competitor, and I can use your stats for that. Kind of like how in fantasy football you have stats being kept for doing different things. Could build out something similar for C1x. And just having this leaderboard and social aspect, getting like group codes that you can share with people. I think there's lots of ways that I could work with that, and then maybe that would at least be something unique that people, in addition to all the other things in C1x you already can't get anywhere else, that social aspect might be a pretty good selling point. The issue I'm also trying to avoid at the same time, though, is that I am really good at just deciding that I think something's a good idea and then spending 3 months building it, and then I find out after those 3 months that maybe it wasn't a good idea. And especially for something like this where I'm really putting this in because I want to unnecessary. I want people to start using C1x more. Like, I think it would be fun for me to use, but it is not something that I immediately feel a strong need for in my own life. So I would largely be building it to try and convince other people to give C1x a shot. and I don't want to spend that much time on something that may not accomplish that. So my plan right now, very long-winded, and I am trying to multitask, and that's not helping, so I apologize. We're going to get this update out first. Invalid. I gotta take that off. Here we go. All right. Gonna get the update out first. Push deep stats out. Somewhat wipe my hands clean of that. I do still have the feelers out with a lot of people that I asked for feedback. So we'll wait and see what that comes back, and maybe I'll end up doing another update with some changes based on stuff that they're looking for, including a couple, I should say, of touring pros. But beyond that, the only other thing I'm going to do is either just do the bare minimum I need to maintain C1x so that it's not crashing for people, and try to test out this social feature without committing myself to a ton of coding time. I'm going to try and be a bit more entrepreneurial about that. And so my thought process there right now, Claude's already really good at coding. So I'm going to end up just adding a button. This is going to be for testing right now, right? But I'm going to add a button probably up at the top here for this new social feature. And then I'm going to have Claude build out a couple of example widgets. They're not going to be functional, but they are going to have the rough appearance of what I have in mind for. I have a couple different ideas that the social feature could go in a few different directions. And I don't know which one's better. So in the effort of being entrepreneurial, we're going to try and sell a little bit more up front. Obviously, selling comes with an asterisk because I'm not actually getting money, but try and pitch these ideas and gauge whether or not they're any good before I build them, before I really build them. And also give people a couple different options, do a little A/B testing. We'll see. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. But yeah, so once the update goes live, I'm going to work with Claude, build out a couple very simple views, just enough that I can create some graphics to show people. And it's going to, like, it'll look like they work. I'm not going to lie about it. Like, I'm not going to show stuff that I don't have the ability to build, but nor again am I actually selling it to anyone, but just some graphics that I'll just hard code some like example usernames and scoring systems in, and just so people can get an idea of what it's actually going to look like. And then I'm just going to try and parade that around a little bit and see if it's something people are interested in. Yeah, so that is the plan. Beyond like taking it around to my local shops and courses, I'm not sure exactly what the best method is for trying to gauge interest. So I am gonna have to think about that a little bit in terms of what the best way will be to go about it. But I really just it's a pretty safe bet that after releasing the deep stats update, like, I think C1x is a good app, but it's not going to start magically finding more users, right? So C1x would just remain an app with a couple hundred people using it, and that's okay. Like, that's enough for me. It's still a tool that I'm going to use in my own tournament rounds, and I am I am still excited about that. But I feel like it still has some potential that, given how much time I have into it at this point, I want to at least give it the chance to reach. Yeah, so I want to give C1x a chance, and I think a social feature could be a good way to go about that. Just because at least the things that I'm intending to do with this social feature are things that don't exist yet. It would give a lot of people a new way to compete with each other, especially a new way to compete with each other if they don't live next to each other and play at the same course all the time, which would be cool, just because a lot of C1x is not based off of course scoring, but is based off of stats. There's a little bit of course difficulty mixed in, but it would provide the option for people at different courses to still maybe compete a little bit. Should be kind of cool. The fantasy aspect, I think, would be really cool. There would be a decent bit that I could do with that. So yeah, get the update pushed out, and then I have to get a couple example views put together and some graphics put together. And then figure out how to gauge interest. So I might be doing some Reddit or Instagram or Facebook posts or something, but I need something to determine whether that's a path worth going down. Something to give me some confidence that if I build a thing, people are going to use it. And if not, that's okay. Like, I still think C1x is good, and I would not be upset necessarily to leave it as is, because I think really the only thing that could be missing from it is this social feature. And if the social feature isn't enough to convince a mass of people to use C1x, beyond the smaller crowd that it is already attracting somewhat, if that's not enough, then at least at that point, I think I can accept that C1x has reached its potential, and it's time to maybe find something else. I guess, and not to say that I'm a lack of stuff to do right now. I do still have my full-time job, and I started a part-time job, and we're staying quite busy, which has been a reason for the lack of C1x videos in the past month. But anyhow. But yeah, I can at least feel a little bit better about letting C1x be at that moment if the social feature doesn't do the trick. Man, my computer's just getting slower and slower here. It's getting pretty bad. That's right, I got 23 left. We're almost there. And I'm probably going to call off the video. Yeah, I feel like I've said it 10 times at this point, but we'll get the update pushed out. I probably will send out a newsletter as well, with definitely a newsletter when the update goes out, but then also a newsletter with the graphics that I put together for this potential social feature. That will definitely be something that that goes out. See if I can get some feedback there. Maybe put a little simple survey into the email newsletter. I think maybe a Reddit post is probably going to be my best bet. That's that at least seems to be the best way for me to freely get at least a lot of eyes on something is a Reddit post. So I'll probably try that. Lots of print statements. Still lots of print statements. Oh, we're about there. Argument type int isn't related to type string. Just all round deep calculations. Well, I guess that makes sense because in fairness, I'm really not even using it at this point. This would just be for if I ever put deep stats into this view, which right now I am just keeping it as a single round feature. All right, and with that, no problems have been detected in C1x, which means that this gets checked off. And that's it. C1x is good to go. If I don't end up building the social feature, C1x is finished. Certainly in terms of the publicly available one, obviously I'm going to add the test features in here to make those graphics, but feel pretty decent about it. There's a small chance that I end up creating those test social features, but probably not, because I think that's just going to be me repping out stuff with Claude. So this is probably going to be the last video for a while. If I get some positive feedback on the social feature, then I'll probably end up actually building those. That is going to end up requiring, and the reason I'm trying to test it early before I put a lot of work into it is that social feature requires I'm going to have a much more involved database than I do currently, and people are going to have to pull information live, and there's going to be a lot of stuff involved with a feature like that I don't currently know how to do. I can figure it out, just like I figured out the basic database that C1x already has, but yeah, so maybe I'll end up filming that, but probably nothing until then. I also don't have ideas for any other new apps at the moment. Excuse me. Which is weird. It's the first time that's happened in a few years that I didn't have the next app lined up ready to go. So yeah, I guess we'll call it there. If you want to see some graphics of what this new social feature might look like, and you're not already signed up to the C1x newsletter, you can go sign up on the C1x website. That's always in the description of these videos. Anything you want to see in C1x, anything you want to chat about, drop a comment down below. Definitely still looking for feedback on the app, and I do want it to be a tool that helps people. So if there's other changes that come up in the future that I can make to help it accomplish that, I will. But don't think there's anything else to say. Last thing on that list was to update the Pro Tour courses, so I will go look at that today. The app will get sent in for review probably today or tomorrow. And I'll be releasing the update sometime this week, I'm sure. So, exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. I'll shut up now, as always. Thanks for anybody watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. I will respond. You can also email me, reach out to me through C1x. You got the all of my apps always have a little note to developer button. You can shoot me an email there. I'm not too hard to find. Yeah. Thanks again to anybody who's followed along for all these videos. There's been about 100 of them for C1x. Probably, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. I didn't count, but it's been fun. All right, I'll really shut up now. Until next time.